Check 1, 2. We good? Keep Out of the Storm is the record. The Sheepdogs is the band. Let's talk about it. What's your favorite song on the record?
Making the record, they kind of, we've heard the demos you sent us, and we've played them a little bit and bounced around some ideas. They kind of all have a little special place for me in my heart, but I think I Do is probably the one that there's something special in there with all the harmonies of all the guys singing together. I've always loved the idea of like the band feeling, and I really feel like having everybody singing together really kind of embodies that whole idea of like being five guys together on a stage. The power behind that is quite powerful, and I also like the meaning behind the song, and there's some really good musical moments in there too. So it's a lot.
When we started the band, we were just three guys at the very start, and it was just me singing. But my dream was always that we would be like Sly and the Family Stone, where everybody sang, or like the band, or just because it's like I'm such a harmony nerd. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I think it's something that I wish we'd hear more these days.
It's hard to do.
It is hard to do. Yeah, of course.
That's why people don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, people can't even sing, and they're singing superstars these days. Fucking Benson Boone nerd there. Anyway,
sure do a
got some
mean
Benson Boone
backflip
fans over there. Yeah, that ad was pretty funny.
Imagine 5 of us doing backflips.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Ryan Gullen, bass.
Hello.
Keep Out of the Storm is the record.
Oh.
The Sheepdogs is the band. We're talking. What is your favorite song on the record?
I think maybe I'd have to say, I think Keep Out of the Storm, the title track. I think that song, when we were sort of first jamming, it really stood out to me as being a cool vibe. But I think as we built it up in the studio too, it kind of took a whole new shape. And I really liked that one. I like that it's sort of like one of the things that I really find fun about playing this band is kind of building different vibes throughout an album, but also even in a song. And I think it's really cool how that song goes from being sort of like laid back and chill to rocking really hard. And it doesn't seem like super out of place. It seems like it works well together.
Was it one that you gravitated towards immediately when you heard the demo, or did it kind of grow?
I think it kind of grew. I think it was it's not like it necessarily like veered super far off from the demo necessarily in the studio, but I think that it's one that kind of grew on me as the elements kind of got put in, and different guitar tones and things like that were added to it. I really like just the sort of the nature of the sort of like chill and then leaning pretty hard into the rock inside as well. So it's cool. I think one of the things that's really funny too, I mean, we were talking about this when we were rehearsing, is like we're building up the harmonies and stuff. The harmonies are so subtle in the actual mix, but when you listen to them, we're laughing, but they're very like almost like Toto-esque or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's very subtle, but I like that.
Scorpions.
I like the subtlety within the mix, but also that they're there in that part too. So anyways.
Shamus, do you have a favorite song?
Yeah,
on the record? Sorry.
I think the Yellow Line turned out really good.
Is there any connection between that's one of the songs you wrote and that's one of your favorites, or?
Interesting. Perhaps. Perchance.
I like that song. It's a good song.
Yeah. It's the type of song that I would be drawn to on a record because it's sort of kind of a weirdo instrumental, a little bit something different, But
how'd you come up with those lyrics?
Hours of deep soul searching.
Can you speak to what maybe the title evokes or references?
Yeah, I guess because the songs seem to like have a sense of motion to it, or feel like, like a travel piece or something. I kept having visions of like a highway at nighttime or something like that. Listening to it, it sounded kind of like driving but moody and dark kind of thing. So the idea of highway at nighttime, seeing that yellow line stretch out before you, takes you somewhere.
Nice.
How about you, man? What's your favorite song on the record?
I really like Playing All Night Long. That's just kind of I'm such a groove guy that the groove just absolutely works. Like Trevor's drumming and then the clavinet and everything just came together right away. So I really like that song. It kind of made everything else we added to it easy. Like when you have, it's like the groove is like the foundation of the building, and then everything else is easy to stack on top of that. And it's not an easy groove to do. Like it's a fun, seemingly easy groove to listen to, but like it's hard to play that well. So I was really proud of that
Nice.
song.
And it's always nice when a song comes together quickly like that too.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah.
Here's one for you. What's your favorite solo on the record that you did not play?
And my mind immediately goes to the fabulous work of Ricky Paquette. Sorry, Ewan.
No,
Excellent
fair.
soloist, but
No, I don't know.
but Ricky played on I Do. I think probably I can't imagine anyone else picking another solo because it's so awesome and so
Yeah.
iconic. And like we were literally cheering in the studio after he finished playing it because it's just like yes, like it's just so iconic and awesome and triumphant.
Totally agree. Favorite solo on the record?
I think I Do is my favorite.
Popular choice amongst the crew.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where it's more than a solo. It's a piece. Like it's not like just, it's so funny because
It's art.
Yes, it's right. It's like, I think there's like sort of like two different types of solos. There's solos that are sort of like an extension of emotion, whether it's like on stage where you're just sort of like feeling in the moment and doing it. And then there's solos that are sort of like more of like an intentional.
Composed.
Yeah, and that one strikes me as it's a little bit more composed. It is more composed because it's following the sort of like melody line.
Yeah. What's cool about it maybe is that it is so intentional and composed. It's not improvisational, yet it has the passion of something that's very like it doesn't. It's not cold and calculating.
Yeah.
It's got that fire.
Totally. I think that like the adverse is like, for example, like some of the soloing you're doing at the end of Keep Out of the Storm is like the opposite of that, where it's more emotional. It was more
Right.
like you just messing around, but it fits so well on that. And that would be the opposite version of that is something that I really like because it fits that moment. It fits that. It's not like, you're playing 1 million notes. You're just literally like, it's more emotional.
Ricky and I were talking about that same thing, about how that's kind of what makes our styles, we're kind of complementary, very different styles. And yeah, I'm glad you touched on that. What is your favorite solo on the record not played by you? Which leaves about 2% of the solos on the record. Just kidding.
I do really like, which is not really a solo, but I like the hook melody on "Nobody But You" that you play.
The ding 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 ding. Yeah.
The way you played that, I remember we were kind of doubling those riffs, and you had a very particular way of attacking that riff.
Yeah,
and
I force you to dumb it down to my level.
Well, sometimes, speaking of dumbing it down, I maybe do some of the more intricate solos, but some of my favorite solos are played by you on there. I really like the solo at the end of Keep Out of the Storm. It
you.
really reminds me, it's, in a really strange way, it's not very, it doesn't feel like a guitar player playing those I don't know.
Correct.
That sounds crazy, but
No, I
really do like that. It's kind of, you can really sing those parts, and I wish my brain thought a little bit more like that sometimes.
That's what's cool, is having complementary skill sets or different tastes in the band. Like, you are a true lead guitarist. Like, you can play nearly everything. You can just attack a solo. You can play like a highly technical solo like the I Do solo, or you can play like, Keep Out of the Storm has more of a like meatheady AC/DC kind of thing, which I love. But like, yeah, it's great that you're like a classic lead guitarist, which is so integral to us. And then I kind of like do whatever I do, but it's like a little different feel. It's nice that they're complementary parts. I'm more of a songwriter.
I really like to play live with you for that specific reason, because you kind of make me do different things that I would normally not do if I was playing.
Isn't that one of the verses from I Do? You make me do the things that different that I do. Sorry.
Yeah, that song's about me, right?
It's about our marriage as guitar players together.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because I sometimes worry that I make whoever I'm playing guitar with come down to my level, because I can't learn what you're playing, so I force you to like learn what I'm playing.
No, to be honest, it's a weird thing. I've seen videos of us play. I've seen videos over the years of like YouTube videos of me playing, and sometimes I go, I was like, I'm pretty hard on myself, but when I'm playing, I don't think about what I'm doing. And when I play with you, the one thing I kind of like is it's more melodic, and I try and kind of play off what you're playing. And we probably have like some very different influences as far as like guitar players go. But I've always really enjoyed when you go into your Neil Young kind of like one note thing.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed over the last couple of years to kind of tap into that a little bit more.
It's because I usually because I run out of notes by that point, and I've only got one left.
I don't know. It feels really good to be able to just do that. It's energy at that point. And,
Yeah.
it's easy for me to like when I want to take it up a notch to kind of press on the gas pedal a little too much, or I don't want to say too much, but that's sort of my like go-to when I don't know where to go anymore. And you kind of go the opposite direction, and I've enjoyed that quite a bit. It's
I think it's just because my fingers get tired.
the yin and the yang, I guess, is
Yeah.
is the energy that I kind of enjoy. Yeah,
That's-
between our two.
I love that.
influences.
Love that. Would you ever play a bass solo on a Sheepdogs record?
I struggle so much with the bass solo.
Can you even name a bass solo from a rock song that you like that is cool? Or
Well, I mean, we talked about this because I always was trying to figure out like references for him. So I put together a bit of a bass solo playlist.
Really?
I did.
Well, so give me some.
But no, and I mean, this is the thing is like I had to
song?
go like super deep on like trying to even find. I mean, everyone sort of like suggests them because for me, like good bass solos are not like super technical. They're more like vibey, and there's not a lot out there that exists. Like it's like everything is I don't know.
I just think of like a jazz combo where the stand-up bass is like.
No, totally,
I
right?
can't really think of like a.
Does an album need a bass solo? I feel like the bass solo only needs to be on live. Maybe that's my hot take. Does an album need a bass solo?
Well, it also kind of like too often will just veer into like slapping and popping and stuff,
Yeah.
which is like kind of like black licorice for me. I don't know. It's just like, ugh. I mean, actually,
I was gonna say you like Black Liquor.
well, you know, it's just like and
You only like bass solos if they're Australian.
the point I'm making is, yeah. Who's a good bass player from Australia?
I just know because you only like Australian Black Licorice.
I do, but I guess the point I was making is like some people just cannot stand like abide licorice. You know that it's a very
Yeah,
strong
yeah.
flavor, but
Cilantro.
cilantro maybe.
Bass solos taste like soap.
Yeah, I like cilantro too. But what about your favorite moment on the record?
Favorite moment on the record, I would have to say, I really like the momentum of like how the album kind of picks up, and how the songs kind of go into each other. I kind of like that as well.
I think this record is interesting because it has some of our most like soft, gentle moments
Yeah.
and kind of almost our like heaviest, hardest rocking moments. Maybe.
Right? Yeah.
Do you think that's right?
I would have to say so. Yeah, and I think that's really cool. I've always liked albums that have a lot of like variety, and this
Me too.
album really does have like a pretty wide range of styles of songs, like from the classic Sheepdogs kind of classic rock to the heavier stuff to even some of the instrumental jams
Yeah.
and some of the trombone bits too. And yeah, it's a fun record. It takes you on a journey, and I think that's really fun.
I love anything that can be compared to a journey. Like
Yeah.
that's a joke Ryan and I have for a long time is like sitting down at a restaurant and you just go to the waiter, take us on a journey.
That's,
Do you have a favorite moment on the record?
I think, and this goes back to when we were first kind of jamming these tunes, but in Bad for Your Health, the first time that we slam into that riff, like when you showed me that demo, first time we went into the sort of chorus riff of that song, I was just immediately like, yes.
Can you hum a bit of that riff right now?
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of my favorite parts too.
I mean, that's a riff that makes you want to go, fuck yeah. So
Do you have a favorite lyric on the record?
I love you more than Axis Bold as Love.
From I Do.
Yeah, from I Do.
a lyric I thought was a bit ridiculous, and then it's gotten the best reaction
Yeah.
I could have not have imagined. So love it.
It's just a perfect name check, and it's totally the type of lyric you'd hear in a song. You just sort of be like, what? But like, and then it becomes your favorite. You know, like.
Do you have a favorite lyric?
I do. I have a couple
do?
actually. I do. I would have to say I love you more than Axis Bold as Love. As a guitar player, that really hit a special spot.
Do you have a favorite lyric?
I mean, I'm sure other people have said this, but I love you more than Axis Bold as Love is like is kind of the one. And it's like I don't know. It's like it's just a fun because it's so weird.
It's cheeky.
It's weird. But that's cool. I mean, I think that like you are not a crazy experimental lyricist by any means, and I think that
Agreed.
rock and roll music there's a time and a place for that, but sometimes it's also a time and place for meat and potatoes kind of lyrics. And that one's sort of like a good version of like you getting weird, but like not suddenly like going full Dylan or something like that.
Well, it's kind of a cheeky song. It's like a little glammy, and like glam is like supposed to be fun, a little ostentatious, but it's also like everything we do is we love rock music.
Mm-hmm.
We love Jimi Hendrix, so it's a kind of a nod to Jimmy, just like the song is like kind of a nod to like T-Rex or Thin Lizzy or Queen, and certainly Ricky's solo is a nod to Queen as well. So yeah, I gotta say, I wrote that. I was kind of like, oh man, like, and then when I sang it, everyone was like, I really like that line. I was like, all right. So there's a number of drummers that played on this record, including one week where we had a number of people come in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find there was like an adjustment period? Like say, like we'd start up, about 10 o'clock in the morning. Here's the demo. Let's listen through. Let's kind of feel our way through, practice it a little bit, and then start cutting takes. Did you feel a big difference day to day with the different drummers and coming in? Like it took a moment or a beat to kind of get in lockstep, or like, oh, you noticed the differences in how they played, or how was it for you?
Well, I mean, the one thing benefit we have is every single drummer we picked is super great. Like there was no sort of like everyone is so professional, so it was not, I think they all took direction really well and whatever, but each brought their own flavor. But yeah, there was always that moment. I mean, there's always that moment at any point when, doing the songs how we were doing them, we're all in the room, we're all playing together. There's a moment it just takes to lock in with everybody else. Mm-hmm. But then there's that added piece where you're sort of like trying to figure out how maybe the part that either you had in mind or the part that I might have had in mind or a combination of those things and how that locks in with what the drummer's playing. There definitely was a moment like that, but I don't know if there was ever a point where I was like struggling to sort of find it. But there's a cool thing that comes from, interacting with someone different. It's sort of like, if you're doing like, if you're dancing with somebody, there's dance steps that but you're going to do them differently depending on like the rhythm of somebody else. And I think that's part of it. It was sort of like there was those moments where you're just sort of figuring out what they're, how they're doing their dance steps a little
mm-hmm.
bit.
When you're doing not just a solo, but any guitar part for a certain song, especially as it concerns this record, mm-hmm. how do you choose which guitar to use? And maybe which amp as well?
Well, for this record, the interesting thing is I fell in love with the, as you know, Marshall again.
The 100-watt
The 100-watt head. And that alone, strangely enough, makes you play a certain way. And, choosing a guitar is always, I've always liked to think that different guitars make you play different licks and riffs. Like if I play a Strat, I've avoided playing a Strat for a long time because growing up, learning how to play the guitar, I listened and watched Stevie Ray play for
Jimi Hendrix
for years and years. I just in my head, I didn't want to be him, but it was a natural thing for me to gravitate towards those licks. If I had a Strat in my hand, so I started playing with a Les Paul and then Firebirds and then other guitars, and that's I kind of like try and picture if I want to play something kind of like fast, the Les Paul kind of helps me get there easier. If I want to play, the one interesting thing about this record is I kind of like fell in love with the amp, and then I kind of started playing a Fender Strat again. If you remember that, which is, since I started playing with you guys, I had been mostly like a Gibson guy, and
Yeah.
for some reason, in the studio, the Fender guitars kind of, just kind of fit. And it's hard for me to decide. I kind of like to try things, and you just kind of feel it.
But what's the go-to usually on this record?
On this record, I would have to say the Gibson Explorer on some of the more rockin' tunes, and the Strat on some of the tamer type songs.
Rootsier,
yeah.
and pretty much 100-watt Marshall across the board.
Pretty
Super
much.
lead?
I
What
would
is it?
have to say it's a super lead. I believe it's a 71. And
we both
no
did.
pedals, really. Oh,
Yeah.
we used the Garnet Herzog on a few
Ah,
of the
yes.
crunchier solos. And you
Juice it
can
up.
easily tell which ones those are.
Yeah. We were kind of doing we were reading about how Thin Lizzy would use two 100-watt Marshalls, and they would have the same guitar and the exact same settings.
Yeah.
We didn't quite go that level of craziness, but
No, but we did have a lot of fun kind of, having that in the back of our minds when we were playing some of those the doubled guitars and
Yeah.
things and riffs.
ever play one of those double guitars?
The double neck ones?
You get those guitars, they're like double
Double guitars.
So speaking of the studio, when you're working on a new song, how do you choose which, keyboards are your domain? How do you choose which keyboard you're going to use? Whether it's organ, electric piano, real piano, or something completely different. How do you choose?
I think it's all about what mood you're trying to invoke. I think like my role in this band, I'm very much like the colorist. Like if you and Ricky are kind of setting the table with the main melodic content with the guitar and vocal stuff, I'm kind of coming in and like filling in behind the scenes, adding some color, adding some mood. So
Right.
I think of like organ as like very much. I mean, sometimes like in a song like "Bad for Your Health," it's very upfront in your face and rocking. But usually we use organ as kind of like background mood setting stuff, and I think of piano and electric piano more as like a rhythm driving, accompanying kind of element.
What color is organ?
It's every color you like. It's a kaleidoscope. Just ask Richard Wright on Dark Side of the Moon.
Wow, that's a great answer. I'd say it's maybe red on Bad for Your Health, but then it's like blue when it's like just a pad, like on Take a Look at Me Riding. It's
Yeah.
just like a pad in the background.
Soothing blue.
But then you also play some clavinet.
Yeah, clavinet. That's more of an earthy brown, I think.
Okay, a mustard maybe.
Yeah. Clavinet, yeah, very, very rhythmic. Probably the most rhythmic of the keyboards, I would think. Like when you think about what that's adding to a song, it's very much a rhythmic texture.
So Ricky and I are kind of like, we're like builders. We're setting stuff up, and then you're coming in with you're decorating in between.
Yeah, my palettes, and I sketch and I paint, and
Is that why you're wearing that
use-
scarf?
Yeah. I always wear the scarf. What are you talking about?
So Ewan, when you write a song, do you have a specific guitar sound in mind, or do you write different songs on different guitars? How do you go about that when you record a song? Go about that.
I'd say it's like a spectrum of like how dirty the guitar amp combo is. It's like
yeah.
clean sounds versus like rockin' sounds, and we don't get that. We never get that dirty, but like the dirtiest we get is probably like Bad for Your Health or Keep Out of the Storm.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still like an amp at like 4 or 5. It's never that dirty. It's just like, is the song wearing a leather jacket or is it wearing a suede jacket?
Yeah. I kind of feel like it's
Suede
kind
jacket.
of
It's a lighter amount of breakup, and it's
Yeah.
like if it's got a leather jacket, then it's we're dialing up the Marshall 100-watt and
I kind of
rocking.
feel like you're a little bit like me on that. Like you like the heaviness to come from the riff and the playing itself, and not necessarily how heavy the sound is or how distorted it is. I'm kind of like referring to how people think about like old AC/DC songs and tones.
They're
If
not
you
as
go
heavy as
back
you
to the
think.
recording, it's fairly clean, but the
Yeah.
attitude and the riffs are so heavy that you kind of in your head kind of picture it to be more distorted.
Yeah, Thin Lizzy and AC/DC
Yeah.
are about as heavy as I get,
Yeah.
and Led Zeppelin and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like the metal of the 80s and 90s that followed. But yeah, if it's a heavy song, dial it up, and if it's a bit more rhythmic or strumming, then I just clean it up. It's pretty simple. How do you mix up bass tones or like the actual bass that you use, or like what's that like in the studio for you?
Yeah, I mean, the last little while I've been predominantly playing Kelly bass. That Tom has one, but now I have one too.
What's that like? Tell me about this.
It's single coil pickup. It's got flat wound strings on it. It's pretty like thuddy and less like gravelly. I think it does really well for when you're trying to just get a good, well-rounded bass tone. So in this one though, in some of the more rockin' ones, I did use round wound strings on either. I used my own P bass, or there was also that other P bass that was kicking around the studio as well, and that has a little bit more of like a drive to it.
Cuts through a little more.
But in the studio, I find that it's like it's always better to just, I haven't messed around too much because for the most part we're kind of like doing DI, or if we are gonna we've done like remiking and reamping and things like that after the fact, but it's just like getting a pretty clean line and being able to like adjust it, because I think like in the end you're gonna want it to sit well with some of the other guitars, and if you guys start like stacking other a bunch of guitars as like overdubs or whatever, you don't want the bass to be stepping on any of that. So adding a little like grit or things like that. So I kind of for the most part try to like get a fairly clean thing.
I mean, I'm a big proponent of it ain't broke, don't fix it, and bass to me is like a prime example for that, because it's like.
Well, and I love that Telly bass so much that I went out and I sought one out. Like I went and got my own.
In Memphis, or no, from Florida?
Well, no, I bought it from. It was in Florida, but we were in Memphis when I got it, and it was owned by the former bass player of I Mother Earth.
How do you discern when you're going to really take the reins and direct traffic versus let people, kind of go rogue or make decisions, for themselves when it comes to?
I guess I'm pretty confident. Usually, when I hear something in my head, I have a pretty clear idea of how I want it to sound, and I want to pursue that. And if it's working right away, then I'm usually pretty committed to going that route. So it can be difficult to veer off of it. Then if it doesn't work out right away, we'll try a couple different things, pivot a little bit. I'm always open for someone else's idea if they have an idea. Like it gets a bit exhausting having to always dictate everything, but I do believe in my vision with some of these songs and that kind of thing. I find it hard to talk about this stuff because just when you think you've figured out the best way to record something, the next time you go to do it, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And you have to have this mix of, I know what I'm doing, but I also am open to the possibility that I may completely have no idea on this next song and I have to completely pivot and just let some magic accidentally happen.
Supreme confidence and total flexibility at the same time.
Yes. So it's very difficult, and that's when you have to rely on your bandmates to, come up with a great groove or a really cool solo, or all of a sudden a song goes from being this like it's going to be this straight ahead rocker, and then all of a sudden no, it's this halftime groover, or like I think back to like Let It Roll from our Changing Colors record is a great example where it was like this like kind of up tempo song that just wasn't working. And as soon as we slowed it down and did a couple of different things, it just became the song. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's a version of that on this record.
What was playing it all night long? Was it always a halftime groover like that?
No, we actually did. Actually, good call. That was like that one we did a couple of different ways, and the halftime feel is what we like the best. But like 3/4 of the way through, it goes to that straight ahead kind of groove.
That's right. Yeah,
that was like kind of the original groove. So that's a good example where it's just like I heard it one way, and then as soon as we played it in the studio, oh no, it should be this halftime groove. So yeah, I don't know. It's a complicated thing. You have an idea, but you got to let your ears tell you what works. In the studio, this could be in the past or just on Keep Out of the Storm. When do you choose when to listen to Ewan and when to go rogue?
It's sort of one of those things where it's like sometimes I think that if you have a very intentional idea in mind, I don't really like feel like it's beneficial for me to go super rogue on it. But I think when we're sort of in the throes of like trying stuff out or jamming, that's sort of when if we're all in the room and you haven't been like, I really want this to be this part, that would be sort of the that would be the time to kind of do it. I feel like it's like when you have a really good idea of what you want, it's not necessarily the time for me to start being like, I'm gonna play a bass solo in this. Yeah, no, the part where it's like I'm not gonna start like inject unless I have a really clear vision of it. It's like you kind of have a better idea of what you want for the song. But you know, when the time to go rogue is really when we're all in the room trying things out and experimenting, and then like there maybe isn't a fully formed idea. But you know, I feel like you're pretty clear when there's something that you want specifically.
Well, sometimes bass it's really a foundation where it's providing like this like foundation to the song. It and the drums are creating like a really distinct groove that sometimes they're doing the solid, not exciting thing that lets the guitars do the flourishing things, and sometimes the guitars are really lockstep and the bass can be more wild. Like,
I think the other time to go rogue too is if we're experimenting with different drum beats. That can drastically change how.
the kick and
Yeah, and that kind of stuff. So
here's one. How do you decide when to listen to Ewan or when to go rogue?
That's a good question, especially coming from you. I kind of like having a bit of a direction. I think my favorite thing to do, especially in this band format and the whole thing, I like suggesting ideas. So I like receiving the same idea. Like suggestions are really welcome, and I kind of like to figure out what you have in your head through my guitar. It's a bit of a challenge, but I've liked that, and I've not really done that very much, and I feel like that's a very complimentary way of making music together. But you know, it all depends on the song, really. If the song is like an outrageous kind of riff, I can't put myself in that position where I have to please somebody or think about a certain thing. It just kind of doesn't work. But when it's a more concise idea and stuff, it generally I think works out to be better if everybody's kind of involved in the idea, if that makes sense.
Well, I think the best solo that people keep pointing to is the I Do solo, and that's pretty much all your construction. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
You went rogue.
I did on that one, yeah.
I don't think I was telling you to not do that, though.
No, but I didn't really.
Did I tell you to do anything on that? Or was I trying to tell you to play something else? Or?
No, not on that one. That was one of the ones where I really wanted it to be a certain way, so maybe I should just keep doing that.
What?
What?
What was the hardest song to record?
I would have to say the hardest song to record
Or part?
would have to be the solo in I Do. I kind of knew I wanted something special for that song. As soon as I heard the song, I instantly heard Queen.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the inspiration at all for that song on your end, but
Thin Lizzy, Queen, The Foundations.
okay.
Which is like Build Me a Buttercup.
Yeah, okay.
You know, but yes, Queen definitely in there.
For some reason, just that drum part, and the drum part and the vocals really kind of sent me in a direction, and I didn't really know how I was going to get there. 'Cause I love Brian May, but I've never really studied him, or it wasn't really my intention to like copy that, but I really wanted it to have that feeling. And then we started doing some tracks, and you know, you could easily get caught up in doing like a blues inspired solo over those chords, but I really wanted it to be like a piece.
He has like kind of a classical,
Yeah, and
like kind of that building Mozart-y kind of like.
yeah, and
thing.
I remember the moment where I started going that direction, and I think it might have been Shamus or something. I saw in his face, he got real fired up, and the energy in the room kind of like
Changed.
pushed me in that direction, and I was quite happy because that's what I was hearing and feeling in there. But I was a little shy at first to go that direction because I don't really.
That's a good point. Is when you're like not sure about something and you're like, this might be embarrassing, and you trot it out and you're just like expecting people to be like, eh.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa, yeah. And you're like, all right, I guess we're going full Brian May here, you know, whatever.
But then
it
it's
is.
like you do that, and then I remember again we had a pretty fun solo, and then we decided to go over the top and harmonize it.
Yeah.
And
Full Brian May.
Yeah, and one of the things I have a really hard time to do, and we've talked about this before, is like playing the same solo twice. And when you're harmonizing, you don't really have a choice but to learn the part to harmonize it. At least that's how I went about it. we wound up making it happen. But it was
It was so exciting.
it was
Yeah.
pretty exciting. I think that's what drove the whole thing. It's like if we weren't excited about it, I would probably abandoned or whatever. But I remember having all you guys in there and just going, "It's almost there."
Yeah,
And
there's a thing when they're going to the studio. It's like part of it is like we're going to work.
Yeah.
Okay, we got the studio from 10 till 6. You're kind of punching the clock a little bit. Like you can't just sit around all day and like let the muse strike you. You got to like go to work and sit down and work on it. But you still need to have those moments where you're like, oh yeah, like you're like we're making rock and roll, baby. Like it's
yeah, and
that,
then sometimes it's easy to forget about that, but that stuff really transpires into the recordings, and
absolutely.
yeah, it's important to keep that like spirit going for sure.
Yep. And finally, what was the hardest thing to pull off? Song, solo, moment. What was the most difficult thing to pull off on this record?
I probably got to go back to the Yellow Line, because we wound up changing the key, because originally we were going to have like a tie-in to a different song,
Which never happened.
which never happened. But then we kept it in that same key, which was kind of awkward for some of the
A-flat.
trombones. You play different licks. You play different things when you're out of your comfort zone a little bit, and I think that actually kind of made the song better in a lot of ways too.
Well, I think interestingly enough, you brought in the two weirdo, in a good way, pieces to the album, the Owl and the Yellow Line, that kind of helped to like bring a little extra dimension to my, don't bore us, get to the chorus type of 3-minute rock song. So it rounds out the album nicely.
It's a rich tapestry.
I guess with this new record, I mean, we've done many records over many years now. Where do you feel like it sort of sits in the overall catalog?
I feel like this record is kind of, in some ways, it reminds me of Learn and Burn a little bit, in that it's got a real strong variety of songs on it. I know we usually have a good variety. Like I think Changing Colors is like that. I think that this record, I was saying to Ricky, it has like some of our most like gentle, softer moods, and then some, maybe our heaviest, hardest rockin' stuff as well, and then a lot in between. And even though it's not like, some of those records are like 15, 16, 17 songs, this is only 11. It really is like, does a lot in a concise way, and I think that it really ties into sort of kind of what we sort of, the blueprint we set on Learn and Burn, but touches on a lot of the things we've done along the way. And then also, I think it kind of does a couple fresh things. Like I do think Keep Out of the Storm, you were saying how that's your favorite song on the record, and it felt like an unlikely song to me when I first came up with it, and I really like it. I think it's a little different from what we've done in a good way, and it's one of my favorite tunes. And I think it shows kind of like, I don't know, just a willingness to do some different stuff. But yeah, I guess it's all things. It's different. It's the same. It's familiar. It's new. To me, it's what I always set out to do with a rock and roll record: make a lot of different vibes and make it just make it good. I would be curious to hear how people who like a lot of our music kind of clock it in terms of it's like this or like that, because it's hard for us to like, even if you go in with intentions of being like, this is going to be a record like this, it all goes out the window once you start making it. So I would love to hear what people have to say, whether it's like it reminds them of this record or that record. Why don't you tell us what you think?
It's also funny because a lot of times I feel like, because of the way that the world is now, it's like there are people that just don't listen to the record, and there's people that like, the guy that referred to our music as being Schlager or whatever, it was like because he heard one song.
Darling Baby.
Yeah, or I saw somebody, people be like, oh, finally you're rocking again, none of this country shit or whatever. It's like, people have like, but it's like people hear one song and they're just like, yep, that's what this is. And I think that's what's sort of funny to the other side, where you have people that go super deep in consuming the whole record and they like understand it as a whole. But it's funny how people are so quick to give like, this record is blank based on hearing one song.
Well, we're just not that kind of band. Like some bands are like, everybody wears a black T-shirt and the same black Chuck Taylors every day, and they only listen to punk, or they only, do this. Like, we all listen to various types of music. We have differences in the way we dress or how we live our lives. And ultimately, we just try to make music that we think is cool and do the best job with each song. So it's not like we like are like, the Sheepdogs is this specific type of rock and roll. Like, we play 60s and 70s rock style music because that was an era where people were like, I'm in a rock band, but you know what? I love soul music, so I'm going to try and be like a soul band, or I love the blues, or I love country, or I'm really into like these Latin sounds I'm hearing. And they would like veer into these little areas, like whether it's like, you know, the Flying Burrito Brothers are like taking country and rock and putting it together. The Stones are doing blues, or whatever it is, like, or the Allman Brothers are mixing like soul and jamming and blues and jazz, and like that's what makes music cool is that you can kind of like mix it up and bend to these different genres and stuff. And we're not even going that far with it. So my last question is, who would win in a fight, one Ewan or two Rickies?
Oh man, probably two Rickies.
Yeah, it'd be very challenging to fight two of you at one time. How do you see it going down?
It's just just kind of like little chipmunks like wrapping all around you and
Tag teaming me, yeah.
going under your legs and one on top of your head, and
It's kind of like in Mario when you get those little tiny Goombas that circle you and they're slowing you down. Yeah.
yeah.
I think two Rickies. I think.
He's stronger than you think, right?
Yeah, he's spry.
He is spry.
I think that like you would win in an all-out strength in that situation, but I think you probably sometimes one Ricky could be pretty overwhelming. So having two Rickies could be a lot. You know, it's.
He's got that dad strength.
I just think that you'd be like.
It's a lot for me to
running
handle.
around. He'd be like taking you out. Yeah, I think you would win in an all-out strength situation, but.
I don't know. I don't think I think Ricky would win, but I think it would be closer than you'd think. 2-on-1. What if I was
I kind of feel like you're like more like an ogre. You're just like swatting, and
Yeah.
he's like a little elf, like being like, I'm gonna get you.